Sugar Bowl between my alma mater, Ole Miss, taking on Oklahoma State.
I think there's going to be a lot of scoring. I think there's going to be a lot of offense. I mean, both teams are known for their offense. Obviously, Ole Miss has a phenomenal defense. I'm not trying to take anything away from them, but both head coaches are offensive guys. So I mean, I think it's going to be an exciting one. I think it's going to be, with the exception of maybe Notre Dame, Ohio State, the most exciting New Year's Six bowl we have. Maybe the most. It might even outshine Notre Dame, Ohio State. Mm-hmm. Time will tell. But when Oklahoma State has the ball, Ole Miss generating a pass rush without Robert Nkemdiche and plugging the middle without Robert Nkemdiche, I'm not sure if I know what that's going to look like. I'm not sure if I know how well that's going to work. Mm-hmm. He's such a big part of what they do defensively. Looking at the numbers, maybe not, but his impact on the game is substantial.
Yeah. Well, that's where I think Breland Speaks kind of steps in. He played a lot, pretty much from Memphis on, and I think that's kind of the guy that for Ole Miss is going to have to make a big impact. The defense looked great down the stretch. Ole Miss, sort of an odd season, wouldn't you say? Sort of a hot start. They lost to a Florida team that was better than they were, especially with Will Grier. Does the defense kind of continue to go with what they've been doing? Because the last few weeks they've really improved, even featuring a lot more guys up front. Victor Evans, Breland Speaks getting to play. For me though, I think it's the defensive backs that are really going to have to come to play because Oak State is going to throw the ball. Mason Rudolph, the foot injury is a concern, I would say, but J-Dub did play a lot. Do you think Oklahoma State can run the ball, though, because they've struggled all year on Ole Miss?
I think they'll have trouble running the ball. I think, obviously, not having number 5 in the middle helps. I think they will be more successful than they would have been if he was playing. I still think they'll struggle to run the ball, and I think ultimately that is probably going to be an Achilles heel for them because Ole Miss can defend the pass. I mean, I know Memphis scored on them. Alabama put up points in the loss. Other teams have put up points on them, but they still have a strong defense. They still have the ability. Mm-hmm. And Oklahoma State, there were some games they could easily be 7-5.
Certainly.
And I don't know if magic, it runs out.
Now, Ole Miss offensively, obviously Chad Kelly kind of came out of nowhere this year. A guy that, I'll be honest with you, Sam, I was pretty unsure about early on.
I told you he was going to have a huge year.
But you're absolutely right. 37 TDs, almost 4,200 total yards. When he's got the ball, do you think Ole Miss is going to continue to do what they have been doing the last few weeks and they're going to put up 38 to 40 points? Or do you think it's going to be maybe more low scoring given the 4 weeks off?
I will wait to divulge what score I'm thinking later on. I do think Ole Miss is going to be able to score points. I think one thing you got to be concerned about as an Ole Miss fan, and for the rest of you Ole Miss fans, is protecting Chad Kelly. You mentioned the Florida game earlier. What was the big problem for them? Chad Kelly had an orange helmet in his face the whole game.
Yeah.
And Oklahoma State is a very good pass rush. Now they hurt a little bit. Jimmy Bean, which is an awesome name, is defensive end for him, big pass rusher. He's done for the season, so he's not going to play. But Emmanuel Ogba is probably going to be a first round, maybe even a top 15 pick.
Yeah.
And he's a playmaker, and Tunsil obviously is going to be a top 5 pick probably. That's a great matchup to watch, but Ogba getting speed around the end, I think, if he can get around Tunsil a few times, get some sacks on Kelly early, I think that would be super helpful for Oklahoma State. Now, the way that Ole Miss can temper that is running the ball successfully, which they've done much better this year than they did their first few years with Freeze there. Mm-hmm. And part of that is getting a bigger, more powerful back, more carries. Akeem Judd and Jordan Wilkins obviously are bigger, more powerful backs. They need to carry the brunt of the work and let Walton kind of be your change of pace guy.
I've got Ole Miss winning this game 45-34. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. Oklahoma State, I think they'll have some positions that end in field goals, given their inability to run the ball outside of J.W. Walsh, especially in the red zone, so they have to settle a couple times for field goals. And I think Kelly, with the hot hand. But really, the biggest thing is for Ole Miss. Last season was such a difficult into the year, and of course the bowl game was even worse. So I think they have a lot of motivation going into this game. Whereas I think you look at Oklahoma State, a little bit of the injury bug. So I think Ole Miss's running game is the difference, and Ole Miss gets it done by 11.
So I like Ole Miss as well for 3 reasons really. One being I trust them more. When it comes down to it, if it's like I've got to put money or my stake or whatever on the 2 teams, I trust Ole Miss more. I think Ole Miss has fewer injury concerns coming in, and I think Ole Miss is coming into this game this year with something to prove, whereas last year, I know you've alluded to this before and y'all kind of alluded to it last year, they had done all they could do last year.
Yeah.
They accomplished their goal. They got to a New Year's Six Bowl. This year, there's another hurdle that they're looking to clear. That's win a New Year's Six Bowl. So I think they're going to come out really motivated and really trying to win. Plus, Chad Kelly is trying to parlay this game. I mean, Bo Wallace was on the outs last year. I mean, he was done.
Yeah.
Chad Kelly's trying to parlay this into momentum for next year. So I think he's going to really come out firing. That being said, I think it is going to be close. I have Ole Miss winning 35-31.
Excellent.